Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Marketing Stand Up. So, we have successfully done one episode and we are pumped to do the second one. After doing our due diligence and discussing our topics, like our tradition goes 30 seconds before hitting record, we have again come back with another episode.
I clearly remember, Anvesha, you and me, we discussed would there be another episode, and here we are. But we are also with one amazing extra member that I would like to say for our podcast, Shreya. Yes, welcome, Shreya. How are you feeling?
I am feeling amazing. I was really impressed with how the first episode was choreographed, how it was all beautifully executed, and really loved the marketing that has been done of the marketing stand up. Although I'm very curious, why the name the marketing stand up? What's the story behind it?
Anvesha, she chose the name, so I would like Anvesha to say this.
For the longest period of time, when Abha, you, and myself, we were part of serious discussions, series of discussions and rants. We've always had those on our daily stand up regards to what we are doing, strategy, talking about what the future should look like, the trends, anything, all kinds of discussions in this close knit group has happened on stand-ups, and most of the places or most of this podcasts that I've been listening to is does have a very serious format, which is one of the things I was very averse to. I did not want to do spewing yarn and giving a lot of knowledge out just because for the heck of it. I wanted it to be very organic, and as we have conversations, Abha and myself and you, we have very organic conversations. It's mostly talking about things which matter to us, we are passionate about, and marketing is one common topic. So what better way of doing it than a stand up? Yeah, so uh, since we were talking about campaigns and everything, and 2024 is gone. 2025 is around the corner. Not anymore.
Thankfully,
We are in 2025.
I am so thankful that 2024 is gone. I for me, I've had it. I was like, I'm done. I'm done with 2024. I wanted to ask you guys, how was 2024 for you guys?
So, there needs to be a long silence to honor 2024 for going away from our lives. I would like to thank 2024 that it finally ended. I have crawled my way out of it. And I'm crawling towards 2025, saying that January, this is the third day, and I want you to be better than 2024. You better be.
I was saying, Anvesha, too many expectations from just the third day of the year.
Too much pressure, I believe.
Too much.
No,
Yeah.
but I am a optimist that way. So I have been optimistic about everything in my life, including my bad days. It proved it can go worse, worst, worst.
All the KPIs were met, I believe.
Every quarter 2024 was like, I can make things much more worse. Wait, I have more potential. Let me show you. By OND quarter, I was like, am I even alive? What am I doing?
During this 2024 extravaganza, I was, kind of missing 2023.
So you have
At
gone
least
down.
it gave me hope for 2024. 2024 did nothing for me.
But somehow
I have no hope.
2024 for me felt like a deja vu of 2023.
Everything was same in December 23 and everything was same again in December 24. The only difference is in Jan 24 I was moving ahead with, oh my God, I'm going to crack things up. And in January 2025, I'm like, I am still dead.
We are work in progress. People are not understanding the brilliance of it.
That's Anvesha and her line. Would people understand the brilliance of it? Episode 1. Episode 2. People will not understand the brilliance of it.
Anvesha asking the question and then answering it herself.
Because nobody's stepping up to answer. I think I should start journaling.
You should. Every day, whoever irritates you the most on that daily basis, you start writing their names and give all sorts of bad vibes, curses, and evil spirits to them.
I'm telling you, this is becoming very dark. Stick to
Oh,
our TG. See, our first episode was all about knowing your TG. And when you do not know your TG, this is what you end up doing. So, We will not do that for this is one place where we are sure that what we want to do. This is where we are not trying to bring other vibes.
We can't have three evil witches coming in and talking about doing all the evil spirits.
People
The three witches of marketing. Oh, we should have kept our name, the three witches of marketing.
walk towards the light, girls. Walk towards the light. Do you not see the light? Come back to the topic. So, before we started drifting off, like on our every conversation in our stand ups and other meetings, we drift off to a very dark space, and that's where we have been for the past 12 minutes. Out of the 15 minutes we have recorded, I would like to talk about what in this holiday season I've been reading through, because as the year ends, everybody becomes very hopeful and they start talking about where we are going in 2025. For 2025, guys, what do you think would be the main hero element? What are the things to look out for?
I want our guests to say it. Shreya, tell us.
Well, for starters, I would really like brands to start making their leaders as the face of their business and not the brand itself, because I feel HubSpot has done that, although it took them a lot of effort and a lot of time to establish this, but not everybody could be HubSpot. And I feel making leaders the face of their business gives customers something to connect with, something to relate with. So this is something I feel businesses should start inclining towards if they're not already. And I feel this is where marketing should go in 2025, towards a personalization and a relatable perspective.
I think I along the lines of what Shreya is saying, more and more founders, when they come and explain to their audience what their business would look like, what is the process, if they're making something. Yesterday, I watched the full reel of how one of those local brands, not local, but those were very small startup brands, how they make their own makeup blushes. And considering makeup is such a saturated, and I don't know what that startup company was or anything, but because there was this founder who was the face of that particular content post, and she explained the whole process in the most unique, in a very human, in a very raw way. So once I saw the full reel, I don't know if I would ever purchase, but I interacted, I engaged with that post. Now, I have a take that more and more B2B side of business, B2B founders to come into the space and explain what product they have created in the most human way possible. Because I've realized one thing is sometimes startups, they create a lot of B2B products, but it's too complex for even their audience and their ICP to understand.
Like TLDV, I think so. There's this brand you see on
Yes.
Instagram.
Yes.
It's a B2B brand. They have a note taker. It's as simple as that. It's a bot that takes notes for you, and how their marketing is, they're doing a brilliant job at it somewhere. There is one guy who does the content, and you see the CEO at times doing the content, and that's it. And they talk such relatable and very human context regardless of that, but that's where personalization comes in.
Same video on which I sent across where the CEO is coming in, he's in that founder's mode. Yes, I
Founders
remember.
mode. So this is the kind of video even product owners are watching. So this is where, the conventional content creation or the conventional way your product is marketed is changing for B2B as well.
Yes.
Where previously it had to be very serious and all about business. Now it has become much more fluid, where previously this humor or this frivolous side was reserved for consumer brands.
Yes.
And that's the kind of powerful marketing techniques that people are using. But B2B brands are taking it up. That's what I feel is something which is going to be way more in 2025.
Which I do believe that for B2B brands, especially when as they go more deeper, their products get more complex. Cracking Instagram is little tough. And the moment, even if a lot of your ICP or your audience is there on Instagram, their nature of engagement changes. And it is very difficult to get the engagement, to get the numbers and the views on Instagram. And I see a lot of B2B cracking it. But parallelly, I've seen a lot of B2B brands trying to copy or this is a very personal experience, but They try to crack the Instagram game with those trends and viral trends and everything, and they're not taken seriously. And for a B2B brand to be not taken seriously is one of the biggest nightmares. So where I feel is the solution is, do not jump onto the trend, but rather, if you're simply just starting up, you can take the trend, also integrate the founder side of it, and now you make those videos. So because you have the face of your B2B brand and understand what will gel with you and what will not. Because remember, Anvesh and Shreya, there have been a lot of companies, your B2B companies, who have tried jumping onto that trend bandwagon and understand how much it affects the whole brand game.
But Abha, what I have seen also, it's how you're doing it. Like we were discussing previously, the art of using things. So, like for example, another law firm in Boston, they are also doing just trivial trends, but they club the law terms so nicely to it. You might feel it's very frivolous, but it comes across as, they are very young and they understand the pulse of your current market. That's the kind of relatability I'm talking about. Just blindly following a trend, which I agree completely, following a trend will end you into a space where you cannot get out of it. It's a rut. As a brand, if you find your voice, you find the pulse, then what you're doing with your trend, mixing with your pulse, makes a difference. Then you become authentic. Like Shreya was saying, that personalization, customization, every characteristic of a personality is different. So that's why a founder's identity or founder's characteristics makes a difference. But somehow I feel another thing that would come up more in this particular year is hybrid experiences. There was a lot of physical events were very separate than your digital experiences. Now many companies, brands and platforms, they're clubbing those, where these physical experiences are these in-person events. They are clubbing it with your digital communities so that there is a better brand identity established or a better marketing of that.
I think this is where the whole community marketing, the whole community management also started. And we could see that they have a very understanding of what the latest trends would look like. And the whole thing, they started leveraging their community very strongly. And
So
again, they're bringing in the whole community, the SASTRA, the SAS Alliance.
ha.
And I think the whole digital side of things, we've also seen those very strong, popular Slack groups, the SAS Alliance, and I don't know, there were so many, the product school and everything.
Rev Genius, all these people do year-end activities where they have physical activities where they're
Mm,
inviting you from digital webinars to a physical space. They'll
yes.
ask you to come, attend, meet, mingle, meet the people you have been networking in person. Physical and digital experience coming together is very big for marketing.
I personally think what I've very actively been part of such online communities, and what I've noticed very, very, something which is very prevalent within these communities is people are realizing that this is becoming a trend, and this is from a trend, this is going to become mainstream in 2025, and they are leveraging it very beautifully to, get a quick introduction of people, to get a quick note of the people that would be very lucrative for them to add to their network. And then they are leveraging these physical meetups, these whatever conferences that these people have. Lead Dev is a very amazing example of that, to further strengthen those bonds, and where they're taking these conversations that might be very surface level when done virtually to a very, very deep level. So yep, I think this is becoming very, very mainstream in 2025, and whosoever is not leveraging this is going to deeply regret it in 2026.
Yeah, people even end up raising seed money from these very networks that they're building. So
Another thing that I've noticed is people who have worked in these FANG companies, these who have worked on a very, very, higher end of the hierarchy, and then they are coming and building products with extremely small set of people, extremely small team, and they are doing it amazingly well. But these are the people I see most leveraging these kind of conferences and virtual meetups.
other than this, like because AI is also still still the buzzword. AI has not reached its full potential. I feel till now, somewhere, we are still figuring out AI, which is far from perfection. So, like chatbots, voice assistants, automated customer service, all big brands, when you go for their support, you have a chatbot. You have a chatbot who is responding to, and they're using algorithms to figure out these are the major problems that people face. Until and unless you do not have your answer in the FAQ, they will not give you a customer service representative. So I feel that conversational marketing part of it, or that smoothness in that conversation, is yet to be perfected. Because as marketers, if your customer is facing difficulty in communicating with your brand at a time when they are in trouble because of AI, if you're not able to form a deeper connect at that point of time, you're losing people. So that area of marketing, people are trying to figure out how to make it more interactive. Now the brands are moving towards having a name, that
Yeah.
I am so and so, I would help you. And then they prompt you saying that, are you still there with me? Is this problem solved? Be it Blinkit, Swiggy, Google Pay, anybody. So
Yes.
that one space, I think, where everybody is worried to get it perfected, because everybody is saying AI is learning, we are also learning.
If we look at the other end of the spectrum, I've had a chance to speak to a lot of people to understand their opinion about AI and if they are going to use it or not. And something which came out very loud and clear from a lot of deep interviews that I did was that they're not ready to use AI until all of its flaws are fixed. So companies at one end, if we talk about the B2B space, they are sticking very indefinitely to this narrative that AI is a work in progress and we are learning and we are fixing it on the way. On the other hand, their customers, they are very much, they are also sticking indefinitely to this narrative until unless all the flaws have been combed out. They are not very open to using AI.
Yeah, there's this opinion. It's my completely my opinion. With the use of different things, even a marketing person uses, be it for the designing, be it for writing, be it for ideation, research, the amount of AI that everybody is using currently is completely appalling, and is very much in tune, that even if you are not very in line with the idea of using AI, you end up using it. Everybody has that, AI angle to it. So I think everybody's trying to perfect it to the way that it is still worth giving it a shot, rather than having a lot of whoosha about it. That's
Yeah,
that's
so
completely what I think. There's a middle ground to it.
yes, but I feel, and this is again my opinion, not something which I've picked up from the market, is that you should know how to make the best out of a work in progress AI situation. So that is something also that you have to learn over a period of time.
Like previously, me and Abha also, when we discussed, we were also discussing that you can take help for doing your work faster, you can frame things better, you can beautify it, but it is making your work faster, but it will not do the work for you. It cannot create a marketing campaign for you. Everybody is trying to build a sustainable environment for their marketing. Otherwise, most of the things you see left and right, things are closing, shutting down, businesses are shutting.
Along the lines of that, Anvisha, you were asking what's your another take. Continuing the legacy of in the second episode, here's my controversial opinion for 2025 is I've seen a lot of AI centric B2B businesses that says that no matter whatever marketing collateral you want to create, be it the landing pages you want to create, as far as it's a video that you put up your full video and it will give you 30, 40 versions of 30, 30, 40 seconds of it, it is great. But if you are one of those where it will collect, you give them a few understanding of what your brand looks like, what it does and everything, and within one click it will give you your campaign landing page, it will give you the content and what it should look like and everything around it, and the LLM is around that. I believe those companies will not survive in 2025 or in 2026
True, true.
because there is no differentiation. You have given them a certain algorithm and a structure to it. it will calculate and create a content or the landing page, the campaign creations, collaterals around it. And second, I am taking little offense. A simple thing like customer support and customer experience, people are facing those things when they get to interact with a bot or an AI. Imagine you're creating a whole marketing interface, the whole step by step using one click, and you think it is really that easy. So I'm also taking an offense. It is also
But
my.
Abha, but the business is also, I feel somewhere the amount of downsizing that has happened has made a lot of businesses take those decisions, or it's just a little easier to have to train a bot or to have a set of answers from your database. I feel so. It might be something very people might feel that I am just trying to defend or trying to say something which is
Wait
not.
2025 last quarter or 26, you'll see hirings happening again, because a lot of companies will realize that whatever they predicted, that oh, this AI coming into the place will help me downsize and everything, but you wait for 2025 end quarter, there will be rehiring, there will be hiring
Yeah, there
again.
would be, because your marketing runs on your end customers' wants. So where everybody wants to be associated with a brand or a company that is resonating back your values or what you're looking for. So that's how sustainability will come into picture, where a brand is at a tune with what is happening in the market as well as in the economy. That is where being eco conscious, being having an understanding of what it is doing to the bottom line, all of this comes into picture.
Brands who are established or brands who have the capability to establish. But let's take any realm. If they're simply starting out, I want to ask to both of you, Anvesha and Shreya, what should be their first year should look like? Because again, it's imagine a B2B product company, they secured a funding, a seed funding or pre-seed funding. What do you think should be their marketing strategy?
I believe somewhere you have to figure out what you're doing. So, for example, if you're trying to market a product, a service, the first thing should be this is where I want to reach. The end goal is always to increase sales.
Yeah.
But that cannot be your marketing benchmark. Your marketing benchmark is I have solved a problem in the market. So that problem solving or addressing a problem in the market is my end goal. So if I'm trying to solve the problem, everything that my marketing is doing is directed towards the problem. Or if you're trying to cater to a market which does not know the concept, for that there is where marketing comes in, where you create the problem for them, and and you show them that this is a problem that can exist, like what this Sensodyne did. Nobody actually knew that problem exists in the market. They created the problem, they showed you the solution, and that's how you led to the product. So that's what marketing is supposed to do for you. Give them that consistency, consistently bombard them with that message and same messaging. It cannot be today it is solving sensitivity, tomorrow you have salt in your toothpaste. It cannot be today I'm delivering goods, tomorrow I'm a florist.
Yeah.
I have a question. Today I'm delivering goods, tomorrow I'm a florist. Was that a dig at Blinkit? Today I'm delivering goods, tomorrow I'm driving ambulances. Ambulances in 10 minutes in Gurugram.
No, that's not a dig. To be very honest, and Blinkit has just expanded its market because it has panicked with all the competitors. They introduced, nobody needed things in 10 minutes. To be very honest, yeah, who needs chips in 10 minutes? You can just walk to your nearby grocery store and buy it.
Does
But
that ambulance come with nurses? Does that ambulance come with first responders? My question is that to Blinkit.
I believe so, Shreya. Otherwise, an ambulance with a driver is something that I don't think so is the most feasible action for them.
Imagine somebody's having a heart attack and I order an ambulance and there we have the
Shreya, you are
kidnapping
again
man
becoming dark. Please don't become dark
with
on
a
us.
seat down and a rope to tie down the patient.
Glitchy. The theme of this episode is glitchy.
So, as Anvesha mentioned, that we need, the brands need to be very, very consistent on their messaging. The root cause of different messaging which is not really aligning with each other is when the marketing team, or let's say the brand themselves, do not completely, they are not completely themselves in love with the product. They really do not know their audience, they really do not know their problems. Unless you go in the market and you have deep conversations with these people with all the context that is necessary, you really are not going to understand your target audience. Just defining your ICP will not cut it, especially in 2025. There is no shortcut to this, and this is where I feel, we were talking about that brand on Instagram, which, the CEO himself is creating content for the brand. Tying it back to the very first point that I mentioned about thought leadership in 2025, tying it back to that point, because that CEO himself is very, very in love with the product. It is the need of the hour. And on that note, so I had been following a very initial stage business owner, and this was a woman. So she had this problem where she had very eczema prone skin, and whatever makeup product she was using was leading out to a breakout on her skin.
Is this my
And
story?
you would relate to it, but no, it's not your story. It could become your story. You could start your own makeup line.
Too saturated.
Yeah, I think so. So she took it in her own hand. So she failed to find products that would work for her skin, and she created a makeup line of herself. And that is, and the marketing that she has been doing of that makeup line is amazing. And the core reason why I think is because she really, really believes in what she has created. She really believes, and she knows the pain point, the pain of her target audience. And that is why, she has been able to create a messaging that will get these people to try out her products.
It's also about Shreya, where mostly it's 9 out of 10 times CEO, no matter how good their product is or how an absolute trash their product is, they do believe in the product. When you yourself you're finding it hard to convince, and that's where you talk to the market. But this is where you research things about. I have a very interesting story. I was reading it somewhere where the late 80s or 90s, when the crack screen they came into the picture. Do you guys know the story and everything? So they
Yeah.
had only one inside. People in India, they wear open slippers, and we do not, we have a lot of dust and mud, which is the reason why we have those cracked heels. So they understood that this is the problem that a lot of major Indian people they are suffering from, and nobody had problem at that time. So remember what Anvesha said, that you have people suffered from tooth sensitivity. They were facing those issues, but nobody knew, nobody acknowledged that maybe you're facing this and this is your solution. Similarly here, they understood that this is what a lot of major population in India they are suffering. They introduced that cream, and now it is sitting at 500 million revenue and everything. Everybody household, we have cracks cream, we have Boroline, we have Soframycin sitting around in our corner, because those are those OG products. They kind of understood the market. They kind of studied the market, that and maybe it's time to revolutionize those things. So when you study the market, you might come with a one step ahead product, but you have to understand that do people really face this issue? But right now, what I feel is, at very subjective opinion, is we are so in love with our own product that my product is great, but is it really solving the problem? Do you think that this market needs it and people are not responding to it because your product is not very relevant to them? You start asking your marketing team to shove people into your marketing funnel, and that's where the whole mishaps and those unstreamed process starts, and the poor
And we come
salespeople.
across the blaring question, why is the conversion rate so bad?
Anvisha, would you like? You can now speak, Anvisha. You're not supposed to keep it mum.
No, no, I'm just absorbing this.
Good absorbing. We also absorbed a lot.
No, I'm just absorbing it.
Maybe we have only 10 minutes. Fatapat, let's end this. Let's end this.
I think this is the ending note. Let's end this. Think this discussion that we had about marketing trends sitting at January. We are discussing some things which have been happening for the previous year. We're talking about the extension. But I think we would need another video to talk about the trends that we think would emerge industry wise. But there are more things that we would really like to address, being things like the status of social media, interactive long video content, why so many podcasts are coming into picture, and why podcast is a trend in itself. That's something we should look forward to in our next episode that we should talk about.
Before this goody two shoes end this in a very positive note, I have given my controversial opinion. I want both of you ladies, and I will start from Miss Goody Two Shoes. What is your one controversial opinion? Anything, a new business type that is happening, a new marketing campaign that people are doing, a new marketing technique, trend, whatever.
Everybody with a camera and a good working microphone thinks they can create a podcast, but that's not the reality.
Okay.
It's not a dig at you.
You get you. This is simply solely not mine, okay?
Okay, so I think I have a twofold or a threefold controversial opinion. So, number one would be I hope businesses only create products or services which are really needed. We already have a lot of unnecessary things in the market. Number two would be let's bring back the magic into marketing, meaningful marketing. And number three would be I really hope businesses start giving at least as much time a customer is spending on their business back to the customer in terms of customer servicing.
So, this brings us to the end of this episode. We intentionally wanted to keep this episode short, sweet, and to the point because we did not want to bombard whoever listens to this with a massive, long 1.5, 2 hour. We might do it one day, but right now, for initial few episodes, we want to keep it crisp. We want to build things up. So we are taking things slow. I and Anvesha and Shreya, we can yap all time. So
We definitely have it in us.
yes. So, Shreya, thank you so much for gracing us with your face on our second episode. And I do not want to see you on a third episode.
Oh,
Do
I'm
not.
definitely here on the third episode.
No, I'm not calling you.
You
Uh,
cannot get rid of me.
and thank you. And my co host, Anvesha. Yes.
This goody two shoes.
Guys, before we end, I would just like to say after a very long time, I feel like I've had a very alive conversation about marketing and ignited that, that fire of marketing. Why, in the first place, I decided I wanted to do marketing. I felt that spark in me after a very long time. And I'm very happy we could do this.
We are glad, Shreya. We are glad to have you.
They're really happy because this is what we felt after the first episode. Me and Abha, we had this long discussion about marketing, and then we were like, this is so much, and we're doing so little. Thank you, ladies. See you in next episode. Live long and prosper.
I am stopping it. I am stopping it.